Hey, it's Matt from Custom Car Grills with a mesh install for the 2003 through 6 GMC Sierra. This grill pulls off the truck easily to get it to this point, and what I'm going to show in this video is how to remove the center and replace it with mesh. Let's start by flipping the grill face down so we can work on the back. To cut out the center, I'll grab my Dremel and equip it with the number 543 cutting and shaping wheel. The cut that I'm going to be making on the back here is about a ½ inch down from the back edge. The mesh piece that I'll show later on has a bent edge, and we need to cut down far enough for that to slip over the back. It's very important to note that you'll need to be mindful on how far you're cutting through this black plastic. If you cut too far through it, then you run the risk of also cutting through the chrome frame as well. I'm keeping a steady hand while monitoring the cutting wheel to make sure that I don't cut into that chrome part. The posts on the corners have some excess support that needs to be shaved down in order to properly access the edge with the cutting wheel. Once I've got those taken care of, I'll cut the corners and then we're off to the sides. This area has a few splines that need to be pushed back in a similar fashion to the corners that I just did. Then I can get the proper cuts made, and while I'm here I'll also shave down the plastic weld points. These will need to be sanded off in order to fully separate the inner part from the frame. The upper corners are going to have a little bit of plastic to cut out in order to get the cutting wheel angle right. On the top edge, there will be a few shallow spots that will be a little bit different than the other areas. Just stay the course and keep a steady cut going while making sure not to cut too deep. With all of the proper cuts made and all of the plastic welds shaved off, the center section should now be able to be easily released. There might still be a few tabs sticking out of the back of the grill, and these can easily be cut off and shaved down. After all this cutting, there will be some melted, burnt-on plastic bits that will need to be picked off. If any are being stubborn, you can probably cut them down with the Dremel. All of the grill prep is now done, and we're ready to install the mesh. And speaking of which, here's the mesh piece that we have for sale on our website. This is made from our heavy-duty Perf SS mesh and will be available on both raw aluminum and powder-coated gloss black. All the right cuts and bends have been made for a quick and easy install. With the grill laying face down, the mesh piece will go right on the back of the opening with the bit tabs facing forward and wrapping all the way around the back of the edge. Next up, let's grab some cable ties and foam to temporarily hold the mesh and grill together. The foam will help protect the finish of the grill frame, while the ties are a cheap and easy way to get the mesh to sit flat on the back edge. When tying the mesh on, I like to feed the tail end of the tie through the front, and loop the head around the grill frame, and fasten the head of the tie while it rests on the back of the mesh. I'm spacing these out every 6 to 8 inches or so, which should be enough to prevent any gaps from showing through the front. In regard to having gaps on the front, it's important to have these ties attached firmly to hold the mesh in place. But we also don't want to over-tighten the ties to the point where the grill frame is distorting. Also, if your ties aren't long enough for the top edge, you might want to consider daisy chaining a couple together. Once the mesh is tied on well and there's no signs of gaps from the front, cut the tail ends of the ties off and throw them away. To bond the mesh and frame together, I'll use Plyo Grip Plastic Repair number 3, though other adhesives like this 3M one or other epoxies can be used in its place. I'll start by dispensing some of the Plyo Grip in and around the area where the mesh is making close contact with the grill frame. Once I make a pass, then I'll use a small brush to even out the application and spread it out more evenly and thoroughly. Of course, it's important not to spill any of this through the front, so just keep an eye on where it's all being applied to. The sides are probably the easiest area to do since you can get a good angle of approach with the dispensing nozzle. I like doing areas like this. Conversely, the top edge is a little bit more tricky. Getting a good angle here is kind of similar to the lower edge I did first, but the edge here is just up a little bit higher. Because we cut some of the plastic welds that hold the grill together, I'm going to add just a little bit more of this repair material on the lower edge to help rebond some of the grill together. Then it's just a matter of letting this cure. So I waited about 30 minutes and then came back to snip off the ties and threw them away along with the foam. The grill's now complete. Let's flip this around and see how it turned out. Wow, check this out. That's one blinged up grill. For those of you who have been following the channel for a while, you know that most of what I do is swapping chrome for black. And while a black mesh piece for this is available, I thought featuring a silver mesh install was a nice change of pace. And now here's a quick look at how this should look installed on the truck. And here's another picture of it in black. I'd also like to note that before installing this mesh piece, I did hit it up with a little bit of Mother's brand polish that really brought the mesh to life. Overall though, this was a pretty quick and easy and affordable mod to do. If you want to go with a badgeless grille look for your Sierra, this is a great option. Well, that's all I have for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you have any questions, just let me know, and thanks for watching.